First of all, thanks for coming in. Minister, I want to be clear on this. At the moment, are you saying that no decision has been made on basically the responsible person being able to prescribe or not?
So as of now, we haven't.
Is that definitely? Because we're hearing contrary to that the last 2 days. Is that definite that no decision has been made yet that the responsible person will not be able to write a prescription? That's the first thing I want to.
Well, obviously, we're considering the new legal opinion that's been submitted to us very recently.
So no decision has been made in the last year or two?
Well, we're always open to new legal opinion that comes in. So the starting point has been we've been through a lengthy process as has been outlined. And to this point, we haven't seen legal opinion that's pointed to the fact that we can do that, but we're considering this new legal opinion.
My understanding was that there was legal opinion given that showed how the responsible person could, it would be possible to continue on, seeing as well as has been brought up earlier, and that in Northern Ireland the responsible person is able to do it.
Yeah, so I can't go into the detail of what that legal opinion is.
No, I don't want to. I understand that fully.
It's been submitted, and I'm being really clear, it's been looked at, and obviously we remain to have an open mind to see and to analyse that in detail. But obviously up until now we haven't seen a legal opinion that we have been comfortable with that could facilitate that.
So you haven't seen
I don't mean that in relation to what we received most recently. I mean over the last 2 years.
Oh, okay, you haven't seen the latest one, no?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I was saying we're considering the latest one, which was received very recently. Prior to that, we obviously haven't seen anything that.
The CVO assured the Anti-Parasite Stakeholders Committee that he had relayed to the Minister their concerns for be it merchants and co-ops.
The CEO of
the CVO, the Chief Veterinary Officers. On the current proposals, and that a lot of it was unworkable. Is that acknowledged in the department, that the Minister has stated that he wants solutions to this that won't be detrimental to the different parties at the moment? And is there a concern in the department that when you hear the people that are the different submissions we have seen in the different bodies that has come in front of us over the last few weeks, we have seen a situation where even if you have a veterinary practice, and unfortunately we are hearing at the moment that there could be double digits being sold again, and in fairness to Jackie, he's trying to put an end to that with the Béliers. But we are hearing that basically, if you can have the medicines, and that they get a hold of the lot, it's worth a lot of money when you're selling the practice. Have you not huge concerns that in parts of the country, and you're well aware of this as a department, that I think it was something like 50 or 60 miles in Donegal at one stage you had to go for a vet, where practices were taken over, that farmers will be at a disadvantage, and that a monopoly is going to come in this, because let no one or no department cod themselves. There's embarrassment in this for a farmer. This is the big problem. How can you go into a vet and say, I want my prescription, and I'm going down the road to the chemist, or I'm going down to the pharmacist, or I'm going down the road to the co-op? How are you going to do it? It's not doable. They do your herd test. They do your, if there's a problem with the yenin or a cow calving. And how are you going to look them in the eye and say, will you give me this prescription? I'm going down the road to your man because he might be €5 cheaper. It's not doable. And I think we need to get this into our heads, because what we're going to do is create a monopoly in the whole thing. And I have a fear in your department that the veterinary side of it is siding on the side of the vets. And I worry about that, because in my opinion, it's the farmer that we should be concerned about as politicians.
Well, I can reassure you as a minister in this department, the farmer and animal health and the ability of the farmer to sell their produce and our wider food and drink industry in this country that is worth so much money to our rural economy. 14% of our GDP is our focus here. and making sure that our antiparasitics are still of use to us down the line from an animal health perspective, from a food health perspective, from a reputational perspective, that's absolutely critical to our farmers. And if we get this wrong, we'll do our farmers a huge disservice. So that's at the focus here. But very much so. In relation to your point about availability of vets and the like, well, first of all, I bring you back to the point I made earlier that a prescription for an antiparasitic will last 12 months. So, like, I know at home, like, you plan it out. I could tell you the times of the year when we generally apply this stuff. Okay, there will be times where you're reacting to symptoms of an animal, but a lot of times it's planned out.
Agreed.
So when the vet is there for the herd test and he's looking, or he or she is looking at the animals and handling the animals, it will be very easy to say then, will you give me that prescription? In the full knowledge, it will last the full 12 months till the next herd test.
So does that mean you have a decision made that you're saying the visit?
No, but I'm countering back your point. I told you at the start we didn't have a decision made. We have new legal opinion in there that is being considered. But I'm just answering back that specific point as to you paint a picture of the farmer going straight in, looking for that prescription straight away to use it the same day. I'm making the point to you, reiterating the point, that prescription will last 12 months. And if farmers in certain instances could well look for that in advance of when the product's needed. The point in terms of the number of vets, obviously, there has been surveys done. The number of vets in the country is increasing. There's more now than there was in 2019. There was 2,948 in the country in 2019. That's up to 3,302 now. I know varying vets have varying different roles, but the most recent survey showed that 95% of farmers had a vet within a 20-kilometre radius of them, and there's, that information has been reconstituted now. The Department of Agriculture are working with the Veterinary Council to do a repeat of that study to get even more up-to-date figures, but those figures are quite recent on that one. And that's not to say that any decision is predetermined or is finally made. I'm just answering the specific points you raised with me.
Yeah, Chagas has referenced a study from the UK that confirmed that there's no greater danger, basically, to put it simple, from the responsible person prescribing something or a vet, that there's no proof that that there is any more danger by those people doing that. Has the department looked at working with the responsible person to, even if there was a course to do or whatever, to make sure, and like we're all in favour of making sure that we keep on top of all this. There's no one, everyone knows are responsible that way. But there is no evidence in the UK study to show that a responsible person is any better or any worse than a vet, to be quite frank about it, at prescribing medicines. Has that been taken on board? Yeah, and just to be clear, I haven't said that there is, but I know you're not saying I did, but that like this is about what can fit and what does fit within a legal framework, and that in terms of any legal challenge made down the line. I might bring Conor Mahoney in on that one, if that's okay, Conor, on your specific questions.
Thanks, Minister. Just in relation to the Deputy's questions, in terms of no greater danger that an SQP is prescribing other than a vet, I suppose the point to reiterate is we are faced with a situation at the moment, by virtue of the upregulation of antiparasitics, that currently an RP is not allowed to prescribe POMs, which an antiparasitic has been upregulated to. Now, as the Minister has stressed, we have received recently a legal opinion from ICOS and the ILMA, which we will have to consider fully, and that may have consequences. So regardless of whether, or notwithstanding rather, that there's a study showing that there may be no less or no greater danger from an SQP prescribing, we are left with the reality that we're in terms of the legal position and in terms of implementing the requirement that antiparasitics are upregulated to POMs. So that's the position where we are at the moment.
Would you have a concern that, of what I outlined earlier, that a farmer, once your eggs have to go in, once you have to get something off one person, would you have a concern for, first of all, the loss of livelihood of the other, basically co-ops or pharmacists or whatever? And would you have a concern about the situation for farmers that, you know, if you look at the losses already in the co-op side of it and in the pharmacist side of it, there's a huge knock-on effect here. Do you realise that?
So, as the Minister outlined already in relation to the drop-off in reported drop-off in sales of intermembraries, there are slightly different purchasing behaviours with regard to antimicrobials, which I suppose is more of a just-in-time method of purchasing antimicrobials by farmers on foot of a prescription which has a short validity period, versus you can pre-plan your dosing regime much more further in advance than obviously you would for antimicrobials. But one of the key elements of the NVPS is, and the design of it and how we are going to implement this, is to ensure that farmers have as much choice as they can. So, for example, a farmer can be associated with more than one veterinary practice. So he does have the availability and the flexibility to get a prescription. He's not tied to one vet to get a prescription from. So there is a choice in terms of both the prescribers he can go to. Once, of course, there is a relationship with his prescribing vet, as well as then a choice in terms of dispensing outlets from where he may purchase his antiparasitics. So we are trying to build in as much flexibility as possible into how the NVPS is designed, both from a technical point of view, but also from a practical point of view, so that a farmer has choice in both prescriber as well as dispenser. So, and that is, I suppose, one of the steps we are taking to mitigate as much as possible any limitations that a farmer may feel he has when he actually doesn't, because there is more flexibility within the system how he obtains his veterinary medicinal products under the proposed NVPS.
And listening to you there, though, you seem to be talking as if it's past tense in relation to a responsible person. Have ye, like, I just want to be clear on this, is the decisions made? Because I'm just trying to, with the way you talk about...
Deputy Fitzmaurice addresses the questions to the Minister.
Sorry, Minister,
yeah.
But I was trying to talk to Mr. O'Mahony. What I'm trying to establish in my head with listening to what is being said, it seems to be like past tense for the responsible person. And I think we as a committee need to know this, because I'll be blunt about it. If they're taken out of the equation, I won't be supporting any legislation that comes in here in front of us.
Clear back. His latest legal opinion has been in there, has been submitted very recently. We're considering it. So that'll answer the question. Final decision hasn't been made.
Thank you, Minister.